for me. Blood in my dog and I can't see. I'm trying to be what I'm destined to be. And niggas trying to take my life away. I put a hole in a nigga for fucking with.
What's up, YouTube? Update time on the crashed 350Z, as well as Jessica's new camper trailer. We picked up the camper a few days ago. It's in really good condition. One thing missing that we wanted to add to it though was a hitch. Not to tow anything heavy, but basically just to put a bike rack on so that we can put all of our bikes on the back and not have to worry about throwing them in the back of the truck. I went ahead and bought this blank receiver. It's like a weld-on receiver. And you can see I marked it up to where I can weld it to the back bumper, but this is kind of thin. So to give it extra support, I'm going to this frame rail. So I marked where it lines up with this part of the frame, this flange, and I cut it out so I could slide it in. So I can weld all the way around this flange and then up and over this square tubing. And then obviously against the bumper across here, across the top, and across there. So I'm actually doing that right now, but let me show you what I got done on the 350Z. As you can see, I got the coolers, oil, and power steering all mounted. Got the lines all routed and hooked up. The bushings did show up for the radiator, so I got the lower bushings in and the top bushings. Got the Mishimoto lower temp thermostat. Here's the part number if anybody's looking for that piece. So got that put on last night. Got all the hoses hooked back up. And you can see I got the LCAs on. They got all polyurethane bushings. And the subframe bushing on the OEM is a slide-in bushing. So if it breaks loose, the arm can slide off the bushing. This actually has a sleeve inside the lower control arm, as well as an oversized poly bushing on either side. So it actually squishes the arm together. So there's no way for the arm to physically slide off the front or the back of the bushing. It also has a poly bushing for the strut mount. So those are on. I did drive it last night. No overheating issues anymore. It burped the system really well and it drives really nice. Only problem I have with it is this car did come with an aftermarket exhaust that is extremely loud. And I'm gonna try to fix that. So here's what I picked up today. I basically went to our local exhaust shop and said, give me the quietest 3-inch inlet, 3-inch outlet muffler that you have, because this car does have a previous tune on it. So it is tuned for the test pipes and exhaust and everything like that. So I don't really want to mess with the flow too much. So I'm gonna try to just replace the muffler at the end. So I'm staying with the 3-inch. So hopefully it doesn't mess with the flow too much. But the internals of this muffler, the lady showed me a picture of it, and it should be baffled pretty well to make this car quieter. So I'm gonna weld that on right now and then get it painted. And then while the paint's drying, I'm gonna chop the back of this muffler off and weld that on. But I will do a sound clip so everybody can see what it sounds like now and then what it sounds like with that. All right, I got this all welded up and a coat of paint on it. You can see I welded all the way up and around that. Both sides of that flange, under there, and across the top. Ready for a bike rack. Let's see what that sounds like right now. All right, I'll give you a view of the undercarriage. So for the exhaust, we have OEM headers. We got Megan, you can kind of see it, Megan Racing test pipes. So they call them like high flow cats. I don't know the brand of that Y pipe. Can't find it anywhere. And then a full 3-inch pipe to the back where the muffler is, which I just took out. And this is a Nismo muffler. It looks like an OEM muffler. I don't know if it is, or if it's a factory upgrade or an aftermarket piece. I would assume, being a Nismo part, that it would be relatively quiet. So maybe swapping this one on isn't gonna do much. But I can't imagine if this has OEM type sound that all those other mods would make it that loud. I feel like most of the quietness comes from this piece. But obviously having normal cats in there is gonna make it quiet. And I don't have those. So anyways, I bought this piece. I'm gonna start there. So I'm gonna cut this flange off and weld it onto that, and then cut all these brackets off. I'm gonna get that piece up in there, and we'll start it up and see how it sounds by just swapping these. If it's still raspy and not very quiet, then step 2 is probably gonna be to put another muffler right here. I've got the exhaust parts welded onto the other muffler, so let me show you. So this is the piece that came off the car. Basically just cut it where it hit the other muffler and welded it to this one. Same thing with the hanger. Welded that hanger on. And then I took some leftover pipe that I had and made a tip that just points it out the back bumper. Welded that on, and then I had a bunch of these universal hangers because the other one wouldn't reach. So I welded that rod on. So now I'm gonna stick it up in the car, see what she sounds like. To show you, I didn't change anything else. Got the test pipes, the Y pipe, the 3-inch pipe, and all I did was swap out the muffler. So I was able to use that hanger for that side and the OEM hanger for this side. Pretty much fits like stock. And then I just welded this tip on. I just want to get it down and see what it sounds like. If this is an issue, I can just extend this out past the bumper. That's what she looks like. Let's see how she sounds. Well, sounds quiet already. Definitely still has that little rasp tone right there. It's 100% less annoying than it was before. It's not echoing and burning my eardrums. So I think now I need to just get out on the road and see if this is tolerable. The way it was before on the road, it was not tolerable at all. It was so annoying and loud, I could not drive the car. But this already sounds way better, and hopefully it's tolerable on the street. I can actually hear much more engine and intake noise than I could before. Well, I would call that a success. So if anybody else is looking for a quiet muffler to just replace their muffler they have that's still a 3-inch pipe with a similar size canister, here's the part number again. It was like 64 bucks. Obviously I chopped and welded and did all that stuff myself. Now I'm going to do something else that I forgot to do the other day. If you look at the hood from where it went through a fence, it's got a good sized dent right there, but it actually buckled this side. So you can see the back of the hood is down and the front of the hood is down, but it has a buckle to it. Now in the past, Jessica and I have had 350Zs, and in order for us to have a little heat management, I would space the hood up on the back side, and that would let all the heat out of the engine bay at the windshield as well as out the sides when you're drifting sideways. So since this is bent already, I'm pretty sure if I space the hood up on the back side, it's gonna kind of make this disappear because it'll be on both sides, and then you won't be able to tell that this side pops up a little bit higher than that side because the whole hood will be raised. So I'm going to throw those spacers on now. I stopped at the hardware store and got some bolts and some spacers. What I did was I took one of the nuts off just to take to the hardware store with me, and you can see these are bolts that are permanently attached to the hood itself. So took this nut to the hardware store and I got these. So this big nut will thread onto the hood, and then this bolt will go through the latch and into the nut as well. So that'll be the spacing. And then if this bolt and the bolt on the hood start touching each other in here, I can use these washers to create some space inside here so they can both go all the way in. All right, here you can see the spacer. I got some washers here, spacer, and I spaced the bolt down. Hopefully it doesn't run into there, but looks pretty much the same on both sides. Oh yeah, that'll let tons of heat out of the engine bay, especially the side here. And it doubles as a crease repair. Wheels should be here any day. I got 6 of these for it, so a set for the car, and then 2 matching ones for the rear. I am still waiting for the front bumper. I just got an OEM replacement front bumper. It's gonna come primered black, so I'll probably just scuff it up and primer gray it, and then if it still looks like garbage, I'll go get a can of color match paint, and I'll actually color match it as good as possible with spray paint and then clear coat it, and then that should look fine. Other than that, this car is pretty much ready to street. To drift, still need a few things. Obviously a PBM inline hydro, I like that one for these cars, so I can tuck it next to the shifter under the radio, and you just have one little hole in the center console and it's nice and clean coming up through. And then GK Tech bolt-on angle kit, if we decide to slide it, I'll have to do those 2 things, weld the diff, and then it's ready to slide. Beyond that, a set of coilovers and rear adjustable arms would be the next step if we kept it. But yeah, ready to drive the way it is right now. Probably gonna wrap this video up here. I do have some big news coming up next week on Pat's Acres and the future of drifting in the Portland, Vancouver area. So stay tuned for that video in about a week. Like, comment, subscribe if you feel like it, and you guys won't want to miss it. Peace.